Once I turned 25, everything started to click. All the years that I spent learning through mistakes, just trial and error, everything lined up. My brain developed. All the trials and tribulations, they all came to this one pivotal point. After rehab, I ended up moving back into my parents' house, and I stayed sober. So while I was staying sober and really building my connection with God, working out, eating clean, and working, I finally got to the point where, for the first time in my life that I could ever remember, I was able to make some goals. Now, some of the goals I made that I remember in the beginning, so I'm 25, I'm home from rehab. It took me about 60 to 90 days of being home to be able to come up with these goals. And I remember making the goal of, I wanted to start a business, I wanted a truck, I wanted to find one woman that I could spend the rest of my life with. And I remember those three specific goals very clearly. And I stuck to them. I prayed every night. I thought about my goals every day. A while longer, I finally chose what I wanted to do for my business. I chose landscaping. Had a low overhead to get into. I really borrowed what I needed just to start being able to work. But that was just a guess. I mean, it was really hard to decide what business I wanted to start. There was a few things I was choosing from, and I ended up I was probably 50% sure on landscaping, and I decided and went with it, and I told myself, I'm gonna do it for at least 3 years. I'll do it for 3 years or 5 years, and I'm just gonna stick with it. But I stuck with all of these goals. I chose the business, and right around that time, I found my wife. So probably within 6 months, 4 to 6 months of being home, 2 goals that I had set, I already had accomplished both of them. I don't think I had the LLC set up yet, but I had made my decision. I started doing some work, and shortly after I had started my LLC, found my wife, started my LLC, and then probably a year or a year and a half after that, probably about a year after that, I got my first truck. Well, it's technically my second truck, but it's my first truck after, being sober and making this goal. So I got these 3 things fairly quickly. But it wasn't just being able to set the goals that clicked. My whole entire life clicked together. Like, everything just lined up. And I think it really came from seeking answers. I wanted to get sober. I spent time with therapists. Initially, when I started getting sober, I thought it was all bullshit. My first AA meeting, I was 17. I was telling myself, I'm not even old enough to drink. This shit ain't for me. But yeah, I think a lot of you guys, especially if you're younger, I tell my little brother this: once you're 25, your brain's going to be developed. The difference between 20 years old and 25, it's not something you can comprehend and see when you're 20 years old. You think, this is how I feel now, this is my life now, is it ever going to change? It's almost like a stuck feeling. And I had a lot of years where I felt stuck, and to unstick myself, I basically would use drugs to escape the feeling and feel better for the meantime. Feel better about myself for exactly where I was at that point in time, just to be able to cope. A lot of hard years, but I think it was really pivotal point to get sober and then be able to set some goals. And now I've just been setting more and more goals, harder and harder goals, and I'm getting really close to attaining some of the major goals I've set for myself. Like right now I'm at a spot where I never even thought that when I used to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning sitting at the gas station scratching lotto tickets, smoking meth, and seeing people get up and get ready to work and think they're fucking nuts for work and I got shit made. Like, I never could picture my life going from that to not really having shit but a car and some drugs and some gas in my car to living the life I live now. I think a major thing that helped me stick with my goals is really my wife. That's something that's really motivated me, and my daughter. They've motivated me. So really adding responsibility to my life and sticking to the responsibilities has made me more responsible. Sticking to my goals, I have a kid, I've got a wife, and doing what needs to be done to maintain that. But listen, you guys, get sober, set goals, think about your goals, pray, walk one step in front of the other and take correct steps. Sometimes we make a wrong step. Don't beat yourself up. Get right back on and making the steps forward. Just stick with those goals and keep your connection to God strong and think about these goals. It'll all come together. If you're 20 and you can't see things straight right now, know that once you're 25, that 5-year difference, you're gonna, and it goes the same for me, from 25 to 30, I'm only learning more and more, but I'm just saying 25 was such a pivotal age for me. I did a lot of my trials and tribulations to get better, like 23, 24, leading into 25. I had a lot of trials and tribulations, really fixing the biggest fuck up I made in my life, which was I had to get sober. That whole journey, which took me years, to be able to accomplish that, it was huge for me at the time. Like, I actually go through a whole program to spend 6 months, 4 months in treatment, 2 months in a sober house, and being strong enough where I was like, I'm ready to go home and face everything. I'm ready to face the music. If I could do it here, I gotta be able to do it there. If I can't do it there, I'm not gonna be able to sustain it and do it anywhere. You just gotta keep pushing forward and not quitting. You just can't give up. The biggest thing is not giving up. You're going to fuck up. It's just gonna happen. A lot of people, like myself included, I really used to beat myself up for fuck ups. Like, extremely hard. I was so hard on myself. I held myself to a crazy standard, but was at such a low, if that makes sense. I would do Fetty, but be beating myself up so bad, like I should be a whole entire different person. Like, regret would ensue. I'll tell you a quick story. I've quit dope. I quit dope thousands of times probably before I actually was able to quit. I worked 2 jobs back then too for a period of time. I had a lot of shit going on in my personal life. Whole lot of shit going on. Whole lot of changes happening in a very quick amount of time. I was getting dope on my lunch break. While I was supposed to have a 1-hour lunch break at work, I would take up to 2 hours sometimes to get dope. be sick all morning, throwing up. I was not good at my job, but it was one of those places where nobody gave a fuck really, but I just sucked. And because I was dope sick as fuck, easy enough job. I was just in there moving slow. I was fucked up. I'm in there dope sick in the morning. Come like noon, I'm going to get dope. I'm coming back 1:30. Normally like 1:30, 2 o'clock latest. I'm coming back high as fuck. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm doing my dope. Now I'm throwing up. I mean, I was getting some fire fetty. Now I'm throwing up again from being so high. I'm going home. I'm seeing what I have at home and responsibilities and shit. Regrets ensuing. There's stressful shit at home at the time where it was a reason why I wanted to use dope. Even though I wanted to quit, I'd quit and some bullshit would happen and I'd fucking use again. But by the time I'd get home, I'd be like, I'd still have like maybe a gram left of some shit. Sometimes more. Like I'd get a nice bag and I'd want to quit so bad. So I would fucking take the bag and just dump it in the yard. I'd throw the fucking bag in the grass in the yard. And I'd wake up in the morning dope sick as fuck. And I remember multiple times I'd look in the fucking yard like I'm gonna find some fucking fine ass powder out in grass. You can't even see where he threw it. And that was just the insanity. Like, so many changes take place though. Like, so many changes took place. Like, that was a trial and error period for me. And shortly after that, probably like a year or so after that, might have been less time after that, probably about a year though. About a year after that, I ended up going to get help and actually finishing a program. Like, that was a really fucked up time in my life. But like, I went from a horrible lifestyle I was living, fucked up home life, to getting help. I had so many changes going on. I just knew I wanted to get better, and I was going to get better. Even if I was going to kill myself trying to get better, I was going to keep trying and trying and trying. But I'm strong mentally. I knew I was going to be able to do it. And once I got that sobriety and finished that program, that was a huge goal. Look, I just want to tell you guys, man, follow this simple blueprint of get sober, fill your negative habits with good ones, just replace bad time with good time, work as much as you can, fill up your schedule. It's so important. Set goals. You might have to pray for a while and really be sober and start getting a message from above that starts making sense to you, and things start connecting. And follow your goals. And if you deviate from the path, don't beat yourself up. Jump right back in it. Love you guys. Peace.